Hello, good morning, everyone. As usual, Rhodas is the first one to join. So, we are not waiting for anyone. So at 10 a.m. Washington time, I start. I don't want to punish those who are punctual. I want to emphasize that attendance is mandatory, and actually now the university is looking at setting a minimum requirement for attendance. Otherwise, you will not pass the class. Even if you get the highest marks, if you are not attending our weekly classes, this might affect your eligibility to pass the course. So I will be emailing you soon about this. So let me start because we have so many topics today to cover. Okay, so let me share my screen. Okay, yeah. So today we will talk about stakeholders, strategy, and success. We will also talk about the initial planning. It's the very, very first phase in managing a project. So as I said, we have so many things to cover today. So we will learn about stakeholders, who are the stakeholders, how we can identify them, how we can categorize them and plan a plan to manage stakeholders and communicate with them. We also will talk about a term called trade-offs. This is very, very important in project management. We cannot cover everything. We cannot do everything. We cannot succeed in everything. So we need to prioritize our trade-offs. Also, we will talk about how to create a structured approach to assess the requirements of a project. Again, the main reason here is that we cannot do everything and we cannot perform everything well. So we need to prioritize, and we need a structured approach to prioritize how we will prioritize. Also, we will talk a lot about the initial planning. There are different tools that we can use. We can have different models. And also, we will talk about the different stages of the project and the term or the concept of gated processes. As I do in every class, it's a mix between what's in the Project Management Institute, the American Institute, and the British Project Management Institute. So you can have both sides, and you will see that these two institutions and many other institutions are using the same concepts. Sometimes there are very, very few differences that you cannot even notice. Let me see if we have anyone that we need to admit. No. Okay, perfect. So there are a trend of moving from only project management to include other fields of management within the project management. And the reason is that projects don't happen in vacuum, meaning that projects are part of a bigger picture, the whole organization. And project managers should have the basic knowledge how to apply both the general management concepts and project management concepts and tools, of course. So now they look to project managers as strategic leaders. Although the project itself is a temporary endeavor, but the role of a project manager is becoming more strategic. And to have this strategic perspective while managing our projects, we need to begin with the end in mind, meaning is that we have to have an end result or end goal that we can unify our team, and we create a statement like a vision statement or a mission statement for our project. This will help us to communicate the purpose of this project, and also it will help us to create checkpoints along the way while we are managing the project. And as we said, we need resources for our project: time, energy, financial resources, human resources, technical resources. And before taking any decision, we need to justify the value of this decision, because we are competing for these resources. That's why the concept of trade-offs. If I take this route, I might sacrifice these elements. If I take a different route, I might sacrifice other elements. So before we talk about the stakeholder, I can see that many of you has joined. So as I was saying before, many of you join, attendance is mandatory. And right now the university is setting a minimum requirement for attendance, and it will be part of your eligibility to pass or fail the course. So attendance is very, very, very important, and not only attendance, but also participation. Now you are a master's student, so you need to learn how to express your ideas, how to use the concepts and tools that we learn here, and learn how to apply it to real life. So we are trying to emulate the real life in class. So it's very, very important. So let me share my screen again, and we continue. So one of the most important domains of project management is stakeholder management. And we will learn a lot about stakeholders. And I want you to, while we are learning these concepts, to think of the projects at work that you are involved with and decide who are your stakeholders. So first, what's stakeholder? Stakeholder is any individual or group with interest in the project. Also, the PMI has another definition. The PMI defines a stakeholder as an individual or group. Okay. As individual or group or organization that might affect or be affected or perceive itself to be affected by the project or the portfolio or the program or even the decision or activity that's related to the project. Okay, what do we mean by this definition? And I see this definition is better than the previous one. So stakeholder could be a person, individual, could be a group of people, It could be a company, another company, or another organization, maybe the government, or maybe another community organization. And this individual or this group or this organization had the ability to affect the project, or these entities will be affected by the project. Or sometimes we have what we call phantom stakeholders. Meaning that we have a group or an individual or an organization that perceive itself to be affected by the project. One example, for example, is activists. So if we are doing a project in a forest, okay, maybe the government is a stakeholder, maybe the companies that will work on this project are stakeholders, the suppliers are stakeholders, maybe someone who lives close by that forest is a stakeholder, and we might also find the media, journalists are stakeholders. Why? Because they perceive themselves to be part of this project. Or maybe activists, environmental activists who don't like this project, so they perceive themselves as part of this project. So as a project manager, we need to identify all these stakeholder entities, whether it's a person or a group or an organization, whether they will affect the project or will be affected by the project.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yes?
Can the nature be a stakeholder itself? The nature.
Can what?
Can the nature be a stakeholder? The nature we are working in.
Okay. Nature is not an individual or a group or organization. However, there are some representatives to the nature. This is what I was saying, that you will find some groups in the community who are representing some interest. So although trees and the forest cannot speak to themselves, but there are some community groups or some entities in the community that can speak for the nature.
Thank you.
Yeah, you might find, okay, there are some UN agencies working in certain areas, and there might be also interested in what you are doing. And we will talk in detail, and we will have some examples. And I encourage you to share some of the examples of stakeholders that you already have in the projects or the processes that you are doing. The concept of stakeholder is not only for project management. Sometimes we are doing operational work and we have stakeholders. So some examples here. The project customers, yeah, they are stakeholders. The delivery team itself, because as a team, we are affecting the project. Our decisions affect the result of the project. Sometimes any end beneficiary who will use that project. Sometimes it's the whole masses in certain area. For example, if we are building something, anyone who can access this, whatever we are building, is a stakeholder. So in a nutshell, anyone or any group or any organization that will affect the project. So the project manager is a stakeholder. Although you are managing the project, you are still a stakeholder. The sponsor, the other departments, if you identify that they have interest in the project, and also anyone or any organization or any group that will be affected by the outcome. And we need to identify the stakeholders because we want to identify the requirements of the project. So requirements are, okay, what's in it for me? What do I want from this project? Whether I am individual, a group, or an organization, each entity of these entities wants something from the project. So we need to understand this. So here is the definition of project requirements. These are conditions or tasks that must be completed. Okay. That must be completed to ensure the success or the completion of the project. They provide a clear picture of the work that needs to be done. That's why we need to start with a thorough analysis of our stakeholders so we can understand their requirements, because their requirements will become the project requirements. So we have here some examples. Define the requirements in the form of specification or contract. This is very important. As a project manager, see all the contracts that's related to this project. Implicit requirement, something that's implicitly said. Legal requirements, ethical requirement, moral requirement, commercial requirement, competitive, something that can differentiate our company or our institution from other companies. Quality requirements. To maintain certain quality standards, we have to do these conditions or these specifications. Regulations. Sometimes we have to comply to regulation from the government. Standards. Each field has its standards. Also, sometimes we have organizational policies. We have internal policies in our organization that's mandatory for me as a project manager or a team member to follow. All of these are examples of requirements. Also, because we talked about implicit and explicit, there is what we call, okay, 3 types of requirements in general. The implicit or the mandatory or the expressed needs of the customer. For example, if I'm going to buy a car and I say, I want my car to be red. So this becomes a requirement for the project. We need to paint the car red. And there is latent needs. So as a customer, I'm going to buy a car. I'm expecting to have a car in a certain shape that has an engine, for example, that has 4 wheels. So I don't need to express this. It is part of the project. Sometimes it's not expressed, but we need to write it down. We need to capture this requirement. And also there is unexpected needs. For example, what we call the wow factor. Because of the competition in the market and the need for an organization to offer something that has greater value, we might add some requirements, and we call it the wow factor, to provide something extraordinary. But again, this will be different from situation to situation, from project to project. And we will talk more about this. So there are roughly 3 categories of requirements. Business requirements, these requirements that's included in operating in this field of industry. For example, teaching or learning, there are certain requirements that's inherent in the field of teaching. Medicine, for example, diagnostics processes, it's part of providing healthcare service. So it's business requirements. Some requirements are solution requirements. So these are specific requirements to the solution that we are offering. And stakeholder requirements. When we identify all the stakeholders in relation to this project, these groups or individuals might have specific requirements. And we need to capture all these requirements. That's why we create requirements management plan. So when we are creating a project management plan, there are other plans. And so this plan is not one plan, it's different plans. We have a plan for communication, we have the project charter, we have the scope management plan, we have quality management plan, risk management plan, but all these plans are a part of the holistic project management plan. So the requirement management plan is part of project management plan that describe how requirements will be analyzed, how we will collect data, how we will analyze these requirements, how we will document these requirements, how we will manage these requirements. And in the requirement management plan, we have some elements. For example, critical success factors. So these are the elements in the project that are critical to the completion of the project. So we have so many factors, so many requirements, and we are tracking as much as we can of these factors. But there are certain factors that are critical success factors. That, okay, we cannot complete the project without it. It's very, very important to identify these. And we create project charter. Again, it's a document. Project charter is a document. And this is the first document that is created for a specific project. And it is issued by the project initiator or the sponsor. So this formally authorizes the existence of the project. This says, okay, we will create so and so, and we have this project. And this is like a starting point for the project. This is a high-level document, meaning that it doesn't have too much details. So let me search quickly, for example, project management charter. Examples. So let's see. Okay, let's see this one. Okay, can you see it? So we have here the project name. We have here the project description, and you can see this is very, very high level. There are no much details here. We have the project objectives. What are the objectives? The high level objectives of in the project. Here we have project is considered successful when. These are the critical success factors. These three factors here are the critical success factors. Who is who? You know, the project participants. This might include some of the stakeholders, maybe not all of the stakeholders, but these are the main stakeholders. So we have the investor, we have project manager, we have finance manager, And then we have team members, front-end developer, back-end developer, and quality assurance engineer. We have, okay, what are the available resources? We have a budget here. We have maybe some tools, some equipment. And also we create the milestones, you know? So these are the checkpoints along the way. If we are working for 1 year, maybe every quarter we will make a checkpoint. Here we have 2 checkpoints or 2 milestones. And here is the due date, and here is the deadline. So this is the end date that we cannot accept any delay other than this deadline. Here's also high-level evaluation of the risks associated with that project. And here is very important. Who will approve what? This is also very important. Who will authorize this? Who will approve this? So this is the project charter. And we need measures. Measures meaning that these are the means or the tools which it will be determined during and post the project to check if we met the requirement or not. How I will measure the success. Is it by the number of units that I will do? Is it by the completion percentage, for example? Is it the budget? So we need to identify how I will measure the performance of this project. And again, where can I find these measures? From the requirements. And we create key performance indicators. So we have a high-level deliverable, what the project will create. We identify the critical success factors, so what the deliverables require. Then we will set critical success criteria. See, we are going deeper and deeper and more detail. So we have more detailed explanation of what will make this deliverable successful. And at the end, we will have key performance indicator. And this is the proof that we finished what we have to finish. Here are some examples. Level of compliance to specification. So we have specification requirements. Are we meeting these or not? Customer satisfaction, if the customer is satisfied or not. Level of return on investment. So we have invested certain amount in this project. What is the return on our investment? Staff retention level. Are we retaining our staff or not? And again, these examples varies from a project to project. Okay, so any questions so far? Any questions so far?
Amen.
Yes.
Matt.
Yes, please. Yes, do.
About the stakeholders, can an area or a town or people of a town that a project is applying there, they can be a stakeholder, or the place that is applying a project can be a stakeholder or not?
Yes, definitely. Definitely. Anyone will be affected by the project is a stakeholder. So if I'm creating, if we are developing, for example, condo, apartment building, in an area that has small houses, for example, the residents of this area might be concerned that, okay, we will not have parking places because the apartment building has more units and each unit has a car. so we will not have a place. Or maybe they will be concerned about the safety of the neighborhood, or for any reason. Yes, anyone. So ask yourself, is this person or this group will affect the project? Yes or no? Another question, will this person or the group will be affected by the project? Yes or no? The third question, and the most important one, does this individual or group perceive itself as or have interest in the project? So in your case, for example, there might be a journalist. This journalist doesn't live in this neighborhood, but they perceive themselves as part of this project. Maybe it's a moral issue, or maybe it's my duty to support these people. So it becomes a stakeholder. And actually we have a term for these stakeholders called phantom stakeholders. So they perceive themselves as a stakeholder, they have interest. And again, it's very important for the project manager to understand this, because even phantom stakeholders or these stakeholders that have just interest in your project might affect the success of the project. Just think of this journalist, if they will write some articles in the newspaper and they will influence the public views about your project, or maybe they will come and do demonstration in the location and you will not be able to work. It happens. So any question regarding this part before we go into small group? And we have you are so
another question after.
Yes, you have another question?
Yes. You talked about the positive effects, but how about the negative effects? For example, a project that will apply for somewhere or in a place, the project will affect negatively to the area or the people. Those people also will be the stakeholders or not?
Yes. Effect. It is not a positive or negative word. It's your analysis. By conducting your analysis, you will understand if it is a positive effect or a negative effect.
Okay. Yeah. For example, if a project is have two ways. For example, one way is this, that the managers or the owners of the project have benefits, but the people will have negative effect on the people or the area. But the other way is this, that the managers and the owners of the project, they will, for example, get benefits least, but people will be more relaxed, or I mean, the effect will be positive. This kind of condition, the managers or the owner of the project, what should they do? They should select the people or desktop.
Okay, this is something related to what we call ethical management, and it depends on your moral. And in many cases, some projects might have a negative effect on a certain group, but collectively it will have a positive impact. So again, it's case by case, and you have to analyze this impact, and also to be honest with yourself. Am I going to be part of this project or not? Does this match my values, my personal values? Does this match my my beliefs? So I think it's case by case. Okay.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Any other question? Okay, so right now we will go into our breakout rooms, and this is what you will discuss. Okay, let me share my screen. In the launch of an online magazine for entrepreneurs, two key stakeholder groups were identified. You identified two key stakeholder groups: the readers, those who will read the online magazine, and the advertisers. As the project manager for this project, identify what the requirements and likely measures, how you will measure. So requirements and measures are for these two groups, and any problems you might face managing these two groups. Okay? So for this particular discussion, I will create only two groups. One group will focus on the advertisers, and one group will focus on the readers. Group one will focus on the readers, so you will focus on the readers, what are their requirements, how you will measure the success of this project, and what are the problems that you might face managing this group. The second group will focus on advertisers. Okay, any question regarding what we will do? Okay, so let's go into our breakout rooms. Hi, Omar.
Hi, thank you.
Hi. So this is your first time with us.
Yes, this is first time online. I listened to another lesson.
Okay, so you watched our previous lectures?
Yes,
Okay. I also noted that you don't log into Moodle, or you didn't also did the quiz.
yes, I will make it.
Okay. So right now they are in groups. They are doing a group. So let me. Can you join a group? Can you see the groups in front of you, and can you join a group?
Where is the group?
If you go to breakout rooms, okay, I can add you now, and you can join them. They are discussing a project. Also, Noor, you.
Hi, yeah, I was struggling also with unmuting. So yeah, I didn't join any group. I was waiting, but unfortunately, I have not been added to any group. Could you also please add me?
Because maybe you okay, I will add you both. Okay.
Yeah, maybe because I changed my email account, that's why.
Okay. I cannot even see you in the list here.
Actually, my name is Nowroz, and I was like, I had another email account. Maybe was like.
No, it showed me here that I cannot add you both to any room. It says here can't be assigned. I think maybe because you joined after I created the rooms. So why don't you create your own rooms? Okay, right now we are discussing this. So quickly, because we have 5 minutes only. So this is what's required from you. Focus on, can you see my screen?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So focus on the advertisers. These are your stakeholder for your online magazine. And think of what are the requirements that they will have, and work together for 5 minutes, okay? And then we will come at 11. Okay?
Okay.
Okay, Omar and Noor work together.
Okay.
Okay, I will check out now.
As project manager for the project in Toyota. Hi, what the requirement and the likely measure are for these two groups?
Omar, can you create a group? Because I cannot, so we can join in that group. Me, you, and maybe
Yes,
Sarah also.
I think now we are in group.
Because Hanan is still with us. Okay. خرابك.
Okay, we can discuss about the online magazine.
Yeah. عمر إذا فيك تحكي عربي كمان فينا نحكي عربي مو مشكلة.
تمام. طيب
تمام.
ممكن نفكر في الموضوع كده مع بعض. يعني المشروع عبارة عن ان في مجلة اونلاين، وعندنا فريقين، في فريق اللي هو الناس
Readers.
الريدرز اللي هم بيقروا في المجلة ايه المتطلبات او ايه الحاجات اللي احنا ممكن نقدمها لهم. تمام.
تمام. وانا كنت بصراحه بالهي من اولها، بس ما بعرف ليش ما ضفت لجروب. بس انت اخذت شي سكرين شوت للشاشه لانه
لا
ما
لا
شو
للأسف.
كانت. so reader advertise. شو كان المطلوب انه نحدد شو لكل المجموعتين؟
الريكويرمنت، الحاجات اللي مطلوبة للمجموعتين. لو سمحت ممكن تشير تاني للشاشة.
sorry حنان, could you please share the screen again? هبجأ جهر هبجأ كل مرة.
طيب نفتح المناقشة ونشوف ايه الحاجات اللي ممكن نكتبها.
عمر, انت عم تحكي على اللابتوب ولا عم تحكي على الموبايل؟
لا لا انا من على اللابتوب.
تمام, اذا تفتح صفحة وورد من بعد اذنك.
اه حاضر. الوورد ماشي.
تمام.
طيب
نعمل جدول انه مثلا advertiser, ونعمل كمان او على الطرف اليسار نكتب advertiser, نكتب readers, وفوق نكتب مثلا requirements و likely measures.
ماشي.
maybe problem كمان, ثلاثة يعني 3 جداول فوق.
اوكي. requirement. تمام.
جاهز صار ولا لسه؟
ان شاء الله جاهز. جاهز.
تمام. هلا للريدرز, شو هي الشغلات المطلوبة انه نجهزها او نعملها للريدر؟ فخليني افكر شوي. of the requirements and likely measures.
Okay, welcome back. How was your discussion? How was your discussions?
Not
It was
bad.
good.
Good.
Okay, perfect. Oh yeah, before I forget, do you use the same name on Moodle?
Yes,
Or
I
do
do.
you have a different name? Okay,
Yes,
whoever
I do. But I didn't get the assignments, man.
you didn't get what?
The assignments.
No, you mean the quiz. No, I will, because not all of you managed to answer the first quiz. So I will create another quiz, and I will only take the highest grades of the 6 quizzes, okay? So we have 5 quizzes in this course, each one worth 5%. I already created 5 quizzes, so I will create another one, 6-1, and all of you, of course, you are welcome to answer the 6-1, and I will take only the highest 5. okay? Because some people joined us a
That's
little bit
good.
late. But regarding your names, if you have a different name on Moodle, please email me. Because when I was checking the names, I recognized the family name, but the first name was different. So if you use a different name, please email me as soon as possible so I can adjust the grades. Okay?
Professor,
Okay, may you just give
Okay.
information about models because maybe some of us don't know about model, how to use it. And then please just some information. I mean, go and show
Okay.
us.
Okay,
Right.
I will contact Sarah. Sarah is she's with us. She can help you navigate how to use the platform. Oh, yeah. Mansoor,
Okay,
you had a
thank you.
question?
yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes, it's regarding the quiz. I don't know, should I talk about it or not, but I took the quiz, and one of the questions was the income model. So
Yes,
I took it, and the result came and said that it's wrong. The ICAM model is the input, constraints, and output, and so the question talked about it replaced income with internal.
Okay,
So,
I know. There was a mistake in setting up the question. So I corrected it and I recalculated the grades, and I've sent you that grades are updated. Yes.
but still but still I have to take 9 out of 10, but it was 8 out of 10.
Okay, I will check. This is case by case.
Because
so I will check this.
if I take it out, if I take that question out, I only took one question.
Yeah, but the right answer was wrong.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, the right answer was false because it's
Yes.
input, not internal. Yes. Okay. So quickly, group 1, share with us what your discussion led to. Group 1.
Yes, Wellington on the line.
I had some internet connection problems, and I think Wellington is going to talk, and we might support him.
Okay.
Okay.
Wellington.
Yes. All right. Thank you very much for the privilege. On behalf of Group 1, we actually look into the reader aspect of it, the launching of the online magazine. We look at the basic requirements, and we consider the 3 basic requirements: the business aspect, the solution, and the stakeholder.
Mm-hmm.
Now we agreed that we list the following to identify the basic questions that which identify the requirements and likely measurements. So one of the points we outline here is the age. We consider the age of the readers as regards the launching of the magazine. We have different age group or age class. We have the children, the adults, we have the age. We know that in recent time, the middle age, the youth consider the online magazines. So it will be more effective in terms of the youth or the middle age. We also consider culture. There are some culture that may not support the online magazines because they are always indoors, and as well they don't prefer or like anything than online or social media. We also consider the content of the project. The online magazine project, if the contents are not well organized or not acceptable, the content, are they rich, will they impact in life or in the society, will it have a negative or positive impact? So the content is basic, is key while considering the online magazine. Now, we also talked about other factors, that the content should be clear, the information, the content has to do with the information. So the information that the magazine is providing should be clear and should be factual. It should be that people will attest to it, that yes, the content is rich, and it will also impact in the society at large. It will create development and also enhance profitability of the organizers or the company. Now, when you look at other factors that has to do with the problem that the management of the project, the online magazine, might face, we also look at the accessibility. This project, will it be accessible in all the medias online? And how can some basic groups, the age we talked about, and other groups, how can they access the material, the online project? So we also look at the piracy. This project, will it be pirated? And just like as we are online, there are some of our projects, some of us at times we find it difficult to hook up to the line due to internet fluctuations and other connectivity. So if the internet are not strong enough, the readers might find it difficult to be associated with that project, or to really go into that project and then find out the basic facts or the content of that project, the online magazines. So considering these basic factors, I think there are other stakeholders to this, like the management project, the managers of the project.
No. You were assigned only to focus on the readers, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So another group also took the reader. We have 3 groups. So Omar and Noor, you also discussed the readers, right?
Yeah. Yes, we just started, and like the people start to rejoin the main session again, so we didn't have the chance. Apology, I was with the.
This is what happens when you join late. Yeah. Okay.
Apologies, I was there before also, but I didn't join any group. I rejoined again, but unfortunately I couldn't also join. So thank you. Inshallah, next time.
Yes. Okay. So before I comment on your analysis, let's listen to group 2 who focused on advertisers, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so will you please tell us your insights?
We have decided that the requirements for the advertising are the low cost of their service, the short duration of working, which would be defined in contract, and the ethical advertising, and of course effectiveness of this advertising, and the measures or the measurement of their effectiveness would be the number of new subscriptions, the number of maybe compliance, the new visits of online magazine, and the number of orders maybe.
As measures of the effectiveness of this advertisement.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you so much. These are very, very insightful. When it comes to analyzing the stakeholder, the easiest way is to put ourselves in the shoes of that stakeholder. So for example, in the case of reader, okay, I'm an entrepreneur. I want to start my own business. I want to learn about business. You talked about age, Wellington and Mansour. Yes, this is very, very important because the demographics of certain stakeholder groups might affect certain requirements. For example, if my stakeholder or customers are part of the stakeholders. Our kids, for example, children, the requirements might be geared towards kids, even if they are not expressing, even if they are not talking about their needs or their requirements, but there could be certain requirements associated with this demographic group. In the case of Entrepreneurship Online magazine, we are targeting people starting right now, age 18. They are started to think of this entrepreneurship. And so I might organize them into different groups. I might even use a certain way to organize them. Who has basic information about making business or business management, who doesn't have? So I might have some articles geared towards people who know nothing about starting a business, and some advanced articles geared towards those who knows the basics of doing a business. What else? They might need guidelines or freebies, something free they can get by reading our online magazine. One thing you mentioned that, okay, they might have issues with online connection. Is this a requirement of this project? Is this a requirement? Can we offer them online connection? No, we cannot. But how we can use this piece of information? That we can create archives for all the material that we created. So when they have the ability to connect online, they can search and they can find the information and they can access, for example, our archives. When group 2 or 1, I don't remember, talked about the advertisers. They talked about, okay, what's in it for me as an advertiser? I will invest money. So they talked about the cost. Maybe in the case of readers, they want something free. The advertisers, they need something low cost. They need different types of advertisement. So maybe we create different plans. So the main takeaway here is that I'm trying to understand this group of stakeholders so I can assess their requirements, so I can create a requirement list for the project. You did wonderfully. Thank you so much. We have so many things to cover. So are you okay if we continue? Or
yes.
Go.
Thank you.
We will continue?
Yes, please.
Okay, perfect. Perfect. Okay, perfect. So let me share my screen so we can continue. Okay. So these are some questions that we can ask ourselves, and you will find that when you are discussing in your groups, you used some of these questions. Who might be affected positively or negatively by this project? Who are the voiceless? Again, those who cannot represent themselves, who has no representation. I remember one of you said about nature. Yes, nature could be voiceless. Who are the representative of those likely to be affected? So the group itself might not represent itself, but there is some other stakeholder who is representing this group. In some cases, there is a lawyer representing a group, or there is a journalist or activist or some other entity. Who is responsible for what is intended? Is there anyone responsible for something here? So the project manager, the team, for example, who will assign the budget? Who is likely to mobilize for or against what is intended? This is very, very important. Can any group create havoc for our project? Who can make what is intended more effective through their participation or less effective through non-participation or opposition. So yes, we will create this project. We have these resources. So maybe the sponsor can get us more budget, for example, or can assign more team members for us. See, or can affect this negatively, make it less effective to us. Budget cuts. Who can contribute financially and financial and technical resource? Whose behavior has to change for the effort to succeed? So we might identify some individual or some group that they behave in a certain way that impacts what we do. So these are some questions that we can ask ourselves. And we start creating matrices or measures. We measure the process. For example, product development cost, time, conformance to quality procedures. We can create measures for short-term outcome, performance level, desirability to the market. We might create something and halfway we feel that there is no big desire in the market for this. Flexibility of design. Can we add something else? Can the customer ask for something more? And long-term measures. Now we go longer term. Payback period. Okay, we are investing $1,000. When we will get back this $1,000? In a year? In 5 years? Customer satisfaction. Percentage of business generated by the new product. For example, in the terms of advertisement, if I will invest this money in this advertisement, how much business, how many people will order through this advertisement? Market share. Also, customability. How can I customize this the product so I can get a high margin? And we have to monitor the project. And we have two types of monitoring approaches, conventional and participatory. So in conventional monitor and evaluation, you will find that the high level personnel who are monitoring and evaluating the process. You will find that, okay, primary stakeholders only provide us information. There is no back and forth. How success is measured? In conventional approach, we have definite quantitative indicators, percentages. And our approach is predetermined. So it means that before even we started the project, we know how we will monitor it and how we evaluate it. And this ties with the traditional project management approaches or methodologies. Then we have the participatory. Participatory, meaning that the approach is adaptive. It's more flexible. We can change along the way. We can make little some tweaks. Who makes the plans and manage the project? You will find that all stakeholders are involved, not only the project manager. So we have the project team, some local people, manager, other stakeholders. And to do this, when we have different stakeholders, we use what we call a facilitator. I worked in this project. I was not a part of the team itself. I was not part of anyone who worked in this project, but they hired me as a facilitator to manage their meetings and to create this brainstorming sessions so they can speak, but I organize the discussions. The facilitator could be from the organization or from outside the organization. It depends. Okay, what's the role of stakeholders? In the conventional approach, it's only to provide information. In participatory, no, they participate more. They collect, they analyze, they share findings, they add more data. You know, they affect the project in a more flexible and adaptive way. How we will measure success? In conventional, we had defined quantitative measures and indicators. Here, we might have qualitative and quantitative. And we might create new indicators along the way. We have another in class, but let's move a little bit and then we will have this discussion. So as you can see, managing stakeholder is a process that's very, very important and we need to learn it. You will find that, okay, there are some articles on how to manage your manager because your manager is a stakeholder, so you need to manage them. Even if they are managing you, you need to manage them as well or manage the relationship. So you need to engage stakeholders and proactively, meaning that you have a proactive approach. You know, I'm not waiting until something bad happens. No, I'm trying to engage with them along the way, more frequent. And why is that? Because stakeholders influence the project, influence the performance, influence the outcome. Also, the project teams also are stakeholders. So stakeholders can affect the scope or the requirements. And we have seen from your group analysis how when you understood the readers versus the advertisers, how each group have their specific requirements so that it can affect the scope of the project. They can affect the schedule, the timing, they can affect the cost. Also, they can affect the project team. Think of a sponsor who says, no, I cannot give you this project team member. We need it in another way. Okay, so you don't have this person in your team. It can affect the plans, the outcome, the risk, because each stakeholder group, as they have requirements, also they have risks. There are benefits. The culture also is affected, the quality, the success, the overall success of the project. That's why the stakeholder management domain is very, very important. Okay, I think we talked about this. Yeah, there are very, very important points here. So we need to create some sort of agreement. So we have the stakeholders agreeing with our objectives. So we are engaging, we are managing them to create this agreement. So they will become supportive to what we are saying or doing. And we do stakeholder analysis and we use quantitative and qualitative. Some information we cannot quantify in numbers, but they are very, very important. So we need to have tools that can allow us to gather information, whether quantitative or qualitative, so we can understand our stakeholders better. So we have different spheres here. So in the middle, we have the project manager, the project team, the project management team. Maybe we have administrative, we have other project management members other than the project manager. We might have governing bodies, project management office, steering committees. We might have suppliers, customers, end users, regulatory bodies. These are all examples of stakeholders that can be existing in any project. And how we do this, how we can navigate this stakeholder engagement. We start by identifying who is who are our stakeholders, and understanding them on a high level, then analyzing them. We go deeper and prioritize them. This is very important because not all stakeholders as important as each other. Some stakeholders are more important, so we have to give them more attention. Then we engage them. Then we monitor the relationship and we go on. So what are the elements that we need to analyze? We analyze the power. How powerful this stakeholder, the impact. What's the impact of this stakeholder on my project? Attitude. What's the attitude of this stakeholder about my project? What are the beliefs, expectations? Also, degree of influence, how strong their influence is. Also, proximity to the project, how close they are to the project. Interest, are they interested in this project? How much? Very high interest or low interest? And we might also identify other aspects, and this depends on the project itself. So we use this map or this grid. And these are two very important aspects when we are analyzing our stakeholders. Either they have low interest in our project and they have low power, so we give them the lowest priority. We don't communicate as much with them. We are just monitoring them, okay? So nothing suddenly happened. Also, there is low interest, but high power. They are not that much interested in our project, but they have high power that they can affect the project. This group of stakeholders, we need to keep them satisfied, because if they are happy with what we are doing, they will support what we are doing. If they are not happy, they have the power to stop the project, okay? Then we have high interest. They are very, very interested in our project, but they have low impact or low power. So we keep them informed. We assign them moderate priority because they are very interested. They might create a buzz, you know? So for example, if we have an activist, they have low power, so they hold nothing official that can stop the project, but they have high interest. So we keep them informed, we monitor them, we keep an eye on them, because if they create a buzz, they might create some resistance we don't need. And we have the highest ones, the high priority one. So their interest in the project is high, and their power in the project is high as well. Maybe there is a government agency that have high power and they are very interested in this project. So we need to manage them closely because this is the highest priority. So we need to have active engagement with them. We need to check frequently on them. And based on this, we create communications management plan. So this plan, again, is part of the bigger project management plan, and it will describe how and when and by whom information about the project will be communicated. So for example, we might have a weekly newsletter going to everyone involved in the project. Sorry, monthly. We might have a monthly newsletter going to all stakeholders. But I have weekly meetings, for example, with my team. Sometimes, in some cases, we have daily meetings and we have daily briefings. We have a high priority stakeholder list that all our correspondence has to CC them. So before we start working on the project, we create this communication management plan so we can keep everyone informed according to their priority. And we create this matrix, stakeholder engagement matrix. So this is based also on their attitude towards the project. Maybe stakeholders that we identified and they are not aware of what we are doing or the impact of what we are doing to them. Is some stakeholder who have resistance, you know, they will resist the project. Some stakeholders that are neutral, you know, they don't have any opinion, but be careful because this neutral group could become supportive or resistance. Any one of these groups can change their attitude. So the unaware group, for example, they will do something in a neighborhood. Not all neighbors knows what will happen. So they are unaware. If their awareness rises, they might become resistant or neutral. Some of them might become supportive. Let's say we are building a new community center. Some of the unaware residents will support it, so they will become supportive. And they might even lead this project. Some of them, they say, no, our neighborhood doesn't need a community center, so they will become resistant. So we need this analysis and we find out, okay, who is what and how much engagement do we need? Okay, let's go to this discussion, but this way, but this time we will not go into, we will not go into groups. I will just leave it to all of you. So for example, if we are creating a new master's course in program or project management, like our course, okay? Who are the stakeholders for this course? And what are the questions that we need to ask ourselves so we can create a requirement, we can understand their requirements. Who wants to share their opinion?
Well, I think there are a lot of stakeholders. One of them can be government.
The government are interested in our master's program?
No, are you talking about stakeholders, right?
Yeah, but for this project management course.
Okay. So students, candidates, they can be,
and even the government, because for example, our program is accredited from the US government.
Yes, that was what I wanted to say.
Yeah. So they might have, you know, some requirements to accredit our program. Yes. And students, yes, candidates.
And universities are also stakeholders, teachers, managers of the universities.
Yes, professors and instructors. So what are the questions that we can ask to understand them?
Even the people or the cities or the countries can be the stakeholders.
The citizens?
For the far future.
No, I didn't understand.
one important point can be the time range between the teachers and the students. So we live in different parts of the world. So my time and your time should be considered.
Okay, so if we put it in a question, what this question could be? For example, how convenient the program is.
Yes.
Or how convenient the class timings. Yeah. Yeah, and we asked ourselves, actually we asked ourselves this question, but because we have students from all over the world, so usually online programs, they follow the time zone of the university. So I don't live in Washington, by the way. I don't live in Washington. And I have to follow Washington time because our head office is in Washington. Yeah, and I was studying with University of Liverpool, UK, and my classes was 3 a.m. in the morning. So yes, so this could be a question: how to make it more convenient. What else? What can we ask?
How can we implement education system?
Students.
I think we should be raising our hands before so that we avoid chorus.
So, okay, there was a question on how we implement it. Okay, we need to ask now, because I want to focus on the bigger picture of the learning. We need to ask specific questions. The more we are specific in asking the question, the good answer we will get, the better answer that we will get. So how we can implement it in terms of, for example, technical tools, maybe what software that we can use. So we have a list of available software. Yes, Mansour?
And how many students do we need, and how many students we should maybe give the admission?
Yes, this is a specific question that we can ask. Yes, yes, Amir.
And what the students need that we should provide, for example, because we are from all the world, and you must have the for example, we must be able to provide all the needs of the students.
Perfect. Yes, perfect. What are the needs of our stakeholders? In this case, the students. Okay. So what do they need? They need some interactive. They need some current information. We are not teaching outdated information. In my case, I found that some of you are from different regions. Some regions, they use the British approach. Some are using the American approach. Okay. Yes, Amir?
And also how to, for example, make easy the program to, for example, to go on it till the end of the program. And we all our students from the first to up to the end.
Okay. Okay, how easy the program? Here, this is very, very important because we need to balance the requirements of other stakeholders. Remember, we are not addressing only one group of stakeholders. We have other groups. So there are certain mandatory levels of difficulty. For example, if I'm teaching, and actually, yes, I'm teaching actually this program to undergrads. Undergrads, I approach them and I give them examples totally different than the examples I give to graduate students. Some of you have experience more than I do, right? I cannot treat you like undergrads. See, Also, there are certain levels of performance that required by the accreditation body, and we have to comply to this. Also, the market needs. So, for example, you will go out to the market and you will work. So there is a certain level of difficulty that we have to maintain. Yes, Shiroob?
What will the cost of the program be?
What's the what?
Cost of the program.
Yes, the cost. Yes, very good. Yeah. So the point here is that we need to ask good questions to get good answers. Okay, that was wonderful. Okay, let's go on. So where are here? Oh yes, here. Okay, so now we understood our stakeholders, we know the requirements, we know everything. Remember when we talked about the role of project managers are becoming more strategic. Why? Because they are managing strategic choices. Although the project is temporary, its impact is long-term. And there are three main criteria. We have quality performance, we have time performance, and we have cost performance. And we call it the iron triangle. We have quality, we have time, we have cost. So what we want is to have the highest quality in the shortest time at the lowest cost, right? But we cannot have this all the time. We cannot have this. So we might focus on the time. Here comes the role of trade-offs. So if I want to make the project okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
If I want to finish the project in the shortest time, this might come at a cost on the quality and the budget. I might need to pay more, and I might need to sacrifice some quality standard. If I want to have the highest quality, it might come on the expense of the time. I will take longer time, or it will affect the budget. What if I want to highest quality and shortest time? See here, that's why the circle is here, highest quality and shortest time. So this might come as an expense on the budget. I need to pay more for crunching time and having highest quality. So when you are managing your project, you might find yourself in situations that you cannot get all the three. You might focus on one choice and you make trade-offs for the other two. That's why we need to do this benefits analysis. We need to justify our decision, to say, okay, this is the reason why I traded off quality for time, for example. And we use what is called the balance scorecard. So I try to balance 4 quadrants here. What the shareholders want, those who are owners of the company, who have financial benefit from the company, and what customers and suppliers want, and what we need for our internal business processes. And also, we cannot neglect innovation and learning, because we want to maximize our competitive advantage. So we need to keep innovating, we keep learning. And we do this benefits mapping. So we are trying to gather information and group this information in 4 main groups. Those benefits that are enabling change, that can make some changes, you know? So maybe appropriate processes, maybe our aspiration to enhance our project and program management. We need to create innovation. We need to support the new processes. We need to use some processes. Organizational changes. Maybe there are certain aspects that will affect the organization. And what are the benefits that we will get? And what are the drivers for this change? It's very, very important to know, you know, that that very famous book, Start with the Why. This is the why, you know, what are the drivers for this change? It might be survival, you know, our company will not survive another 5 years unless we have these changes. Or maybe there are certain external factors. Or maybe we have new funding or more funding that can enhance or help us create these benefits. So we need to map the benefits. And we use what we call impact mapping. Why are we doing this? You know, we start with the why, with the goal. And this is a strategic planning approach and you can apply this to so many things. So we start with the why we are doing this. Then who can help us achieve this? This could be individuals, role, stakeholders, sponsors, funding, investors, you know, and how they can help us. What is the impact these individuals or this group have? So they can change something, they can increase positively or negatively. And then what are the deliverables? So what are the benefits? For example, if we are doing a software, what are the features of this software? If we are doing like a bridge, okay, what are the actual deliverables, the technical specification of this bridge? So we do this, it will make us understand the impact of different aspects and different players. And when we do this analysis, when we take a decision, we will minimize the error of this decision. Here is something. Remember when we were talking about quantitative and qualitative information? The problem with qualitative information that we cannot, you know, measure it. We cannot have a certain number. Sometimes when you are in a situation, you say, oh, I don't feel good about this decision. This is a qualitative statement. Or, no, there will be a loss of 50%. I'm not in favor of losing 50%. See how different? So sometimes we are trying to quantify qualitative information. How we do this? For example, we carry a pilot study. So instead of having a big project, we can have a smaller project, or we have a smaller study that we can gather more information, and we can say, okay, 65% of the people that we interviewed opposed the idea of having this community center. See, we are trying to quantify something. Or we benchmark. So we compare our project to similar projects. This is a funny story. You know where the term benchmark came from? I knew about this when I was preparing for my very, very first master's. And it was in business process reengineering. And my professor told me back in the days, selling cloths, you know, selling yard of fabric. So they had the ruler on the bench, and they have these benchmarks, marks on the bench. This is 1 meter, this is 2 meter, this is 3 meter. So when you go and you buy fabric, instead of, you know, using a measuring tape or something, they use the bench with these marks and they just use it. So the scholar who introduced this concept introduced the concept of comparing our performance to other companies' performance, so we can measure our performance against their performance. And why we do this? Because we don't have another mean to measure our performance. So we use other people's performance. Or sometimes we use computer modeling and simulation. So we have some software that we give the software what we have of data, and we feed the software some assumptions, and the software will give us, okay, some simulation and some modeling on how the expected result might be. So these are tools to quantify what we cannot quantify. Okay, we will have this after a little while. So let's continue. Or do you want a break? I think we need a break now. So
yes, it will be good.
Yes, okay. So let's have 10 minutes. No, 15 minutes. So we will come back at 12:10. Okay? So see you in 15 minutes. Welcome back.
Hello again.
Hi. So did you get some coffee? Refreshed?
Hello again.
Hi. Okay, are you all back here?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Perfect. Okay. So let's continue. As I told you, today we have many topics to cover. And now we will focus on initial planning. This is not the very detailed planning of the project. This is even according to the PMI, the Project Management Institute, they call it the initiation phase. And here we determine the nature, the role, and the utility of the plan that we will create. It is important to know how and why to stop a project. This is very, very important. And even in business right now, when we are doing strategic planning, we plan for exit. If we want to stop this project, when should we stop the project? Making sense of a complex project. And most of the time, our projects are complex. And right now we are focusing on the planning performance domain. So what are the activities and the functions associated with the initial and ongoing and evolving organization? Coordination of the necessary activities that we need to deliver the project. And we do something called outline planning. So again, this is a high-level planning process. And in this, we focus on the concept, what we are trying to do, you know, without going too much in detail. Then we create a scope for the plan. Then we see the product or the deliverables that we want to deliver. And then we see the processes that we want to implement to create these products. Then we go in detail to process design. So this stage is very, very important because we build most of our understanding of the project based on the initial or outline planning. And there are different models of planning that we can use. In the beginning, we might have different ideas. So we need to understand or to create a way or a tool, how can we filter ideas? Are we okay? Yeah, okay. So for example, in this example, it's in your material, they talk about building a research or a study. And we have so many ideas for research or studies. How we can filter this idea, how we can say, okay, I will go with this idea, but not that idea. So it could be based on the interest. I'm interested in this as a student, and other students are not interested in this. How feasible this research idea is. And is there a theoretical base? So we have sufficient literature written about this idea. And this is the same what we do for almost everything. Remember when we were talking about the online magazine, for example, for entrepreneurs? So we might have so many ideas. The ideas, for example, for one article, we might have 10 ideas. So we need to create, we need to create a filter. So for example, I might have ideas for an article for this magazine. I will ask myself, okay, does this idea interest the reader? Will it give them enough information? Is it current? Do I have enough material to work on this idea? Some idea, for example, for the community center. So we can say, okay, we can create a community center. We can have classroom in the community center. We can have a basketball playground for the kids. We can have swimming pool. We can have a crafts room. These are all ideas. How can I filter those ideas? I might say, okay, do I have enough space for swimming pool, for example? Do I have the budget to add a swimming pool? Is there enough interest of residents to have a swimming pool in their community center? So we create these filters to evaluate different ideas. When we do this in the initial phase of the project, the initial planning phase. Sometimes we create what we call affinity diagram. So we might have different ideas, but these ideas are somehow related. So we try to group the ideas under one theme. So instead of having all these ideas scattered, we have 6 themes or 8 themes, and these ideas can be grouped under one theme. So this will be easier for us to review and analyze these ideas. For example, if I'm creating a new product, again, we need to analyze these ideas. So we might have marketing assessment of the idea. Is it feasible to the market? Is there a demand in the market or not? A financial appraiser. So what's the return on investment? What's the initial investment that I need to invest to do this? A strategic. So will this new product have a long-term impact on the success of the company? Technical. Do I have the technical skills in-house that enable me to provide to do this product or not? And once I filtered these ideas and analyzed it, I need to create a scope for the project, and I need to manage the scope. So to manage the scope, we have initiation, we have the scope plan, and we have the scope change control. In the initiation, I select ideas, I consult my strategic plan, I assess the constraints that will, affect the project. I will have some assumptions because I might not have all the information. So whenever there is a piece of information that's missing, I put an assumption. Then I create a scope plan. So I create a statement for the scope. Who will accept the scope? Who will approve it? Are we all on the same page? And then I create work breakdown structure. So I create work packages that say, okay, to go from the start point to the end point, I need to do these small elements. Then, this is very important, scope change control, because I need to prevent what is called the scope creep. I need to stop adding more requirements to the scope, to the project. Otherwise, it can go endlessly, it can go over budget, it can go over time, and it might impact the quality. So I need to control the changes. Sometimes you work with a client and that client is so difficult. They keep changing the requirements. Or you can work with a manager, for example, and the manager keeps giving you more work to do, different things. After they approve something, they go back and they disapprove it. So we need to create a control system to deal with these changes. And also we need to create our measures to measure the performance. So this is all, these elements are all under scope management. So let's talk about the planning process itself. Before that, let's see the in-class discussion. Okay, we can talk about this later. We already had wonderful discussions. So now let's talk about the planning process itself. So what we do now, we need to balance the costs and the benefit. So when we don't do proper planning, it might affect the costs. It might affect our focus, the ability to generate data. If we do good planning, we will create, of course, good plans. And when we have good plans and follow through and execute these plans, we will get good results. We will have the quality standards that we want. And it will be easier for us to collect the data and use this data and information in a way that enhance our performance. A very important aspect of planning is uncertainty. Sometimes there are certain issues or events or decisions or data that we are not aware of or uncertain. We are not 100% sure that this is right or this will happen. So the planning process has a degree of uncertainty. And what does uncertainty do? Okay. Uncertainty raises the possibility of risks. So we need to deal with uncertainty. That's why in the Project Management Institute, they have the uncertainty domain. So there are certain activities and functions that are associated with risks and uncertainty, how we will deal with risks and uncertainty. It's very important. And we have different resources or sources of uncertainty. We might have product uncertainty. The deliverable itself has some uncertainty. We might have process uncertainty, you know, certain aspects of the process or how we will do what we will do has some aspects of uncertainty. And there are also two types of biases. Optimism bias, it means that we are over-optimistic of our ability, of the stability of the market, so we don't take into consideration possible uncertainties and risks. And also there is what is called confirmation bias. Let's say, I'm saying, let's go right. So I will include all the information that confirms my decision to go right. And I will neglect all the information that's associated by going left. So by neglecting some information, I'm creating this bias towards a certain decision. And this can create hidden uncertainty and hidden risk and uncalculated risk. That's why right now, many organizations are using more adaptive approaches to address this uncertainty. So whenever I have new information, I can adapt to my activities. I can adapt to my approach. I can include the new evidence or the new information to the pool of information, and I re-study the decision. Remember that model, the ICOM, the iconic ICOM? So this is also part of dealing with uncertainty. So even in the planning process, we have inputs. So we might have a project brief. We might have the charter. We have standards. This is the input. So we have controls. So we have standards and procedures. We have a financial constraints, time, legal constraints, cultural constraints. And then we have mechanisms. So we have certain tools and techniques available to us. And we have personnel, the team. These are mechanisms, how we will do the planning process. And then we have output. And the outputs could be the project plan or the project proposal. So we start by identifying the activities. And then for the planning, what we will do to perform the planning process. We need to do these 5 activities. Okay, what is the logical sequence? What could be step 1, and then step 2, and then step 3? Then we allocate time and resources. So we do estimates. Okay, this step will take 1 week. This step will take 3 days. So we can complete this, and we need these resources. And then we present the plan. And we use what is called stage gate model of projects. And we use what is called gated processes. So we have the concept, and before going to stage 1 to work on that concept, we have a gate. So this gate, to make sure that we selected the right concept, we included all the information, and we dealt with all possible risks. Then we go to stage 1. And after moving, before moving to stage 2, we have to close stage 1. So we make a review to make sure that we finished all the elements or the activities in this stage, that we handled all problems and issues happened in stage 1. So whoever is working on stage 2 doesn't need to deal with problems created or happened in stage 1. So between each stage, we have this gate to make sure that we close each stage fully before going to the next one. I can see this approach in construction projects, because you cannot, for example, finish a certain stage and you have some problems, you have some errors happened in this stage, and then the team of stage 2 comes and they start working on their work, and they have to deal with the errors happened here. In the city that I live, we had a huge project, transportation project. And after they finish a location and the location is finished, clean, perfect, wonderful, we find them going back to that location, digging again, doing something again. And in the newspaper, they say they had to go and dig this location because there was this error, this change in design or something like this, and they apologized for inconvenience. Why? Because they didn't close stage 1 fully. They didn't think of all the errors and all the problems. Of course, in some cases, problems might not, the team might not be aware of the problem until it happens. But we use this approach to minimize this. So in the PMI, it's called phase gate. These gates, it's called phase gate. It's a review at the end of a phase in which a decision is made to continue to the next phase, to continue with modification or to end a project or a program. Sometimes we go through a project and in a certain point, we discover that, okay, we will incur lots of losses, or there is certain change, or there is a law that will prevent us from doing this, and we have to terminate the project. Of course, from an outsider perspective, some stakeholders might be furious. Why you are terminating this project, or why didn't you take this into consideration? Because some information never shows, or we are not aware of certain information until we move that further. So it happens. And when we organize our phases, there are certain activities in each phase. And we have two approaches to organize these activities, either sequentially or concurrently. So you will find that we cannot do activity 2 unless we finish activity 1. In some cases, activity 1 and activity 2 can happen at the same time. Usually we use this sequential activities when the output of one activity is the input of the next one. So, for example, the conventional approach to new development, product development, we go phase 1 when the marketing identify customer needs and do this. Then the output of this step goes to the next phase when the designers take what the marketing department found and they create, they design the product, they make calculations, they do product drawings. Then the engineers take what the designers created and they create their manufacturing plans, they install manufacturing lines or production lines, and then we do manufacturing, and then we go to the last step, which is marketing and selling the product to the customer. See, this means that we cannot do the designs until we have full information from the marketing. Engineers cannot work on product design until the designers finish their product design. Manufacturing cannot manufacture any products until the engineers finish their product drawings and all the design issues, and so on. And while we are doing this, while the information flows from stages to stage, there is an old saying calling Chinese whisper. In some areas around the world, this could be discriminatory. We cannot say it. When the information gets distorted between different stages. So the marketing describe it like this. See, fancy drink. The engineering design it or sew it like this. The production produce it like this. And actually, this is what the customer wanted. So the customer wanted beer. The marketing described it as martini. The engineering's, saw it as a bucket full of liquid. But the production created coffee. And it's totally different than what the customer wanted. So we need to be careful when we are conveying information to the next phase or the next stage, so we get a real thorough understanding of the requirement. That's why we need to spend quite some time identifying the requirements and ask proper questions. Any questions so far? Okay, so this is how we can organize the same activities as sequential or concurrent. If I will organize it sequential, it means that after the marketing finish, the design will start working. After the design finish, engineering will start working. After the engineering finish, manufacturing start working. When we do sequential, there is some sort of overlap between these activities, and see the information going between these two phases. So marketing starts, and halfway design people, the design team starts interacting with the marketing and starting creating a concept, for example. Marketing are still working, and the more information they get, they feed the design team, and they keep adjusting their concept. Halfway, the engineering team starts working. And again, the information going back and forth between these two teams. Same for manufacturing. This will help in two things. First, that we can save time because of the overlap between these two activities, and also the information flow between these teams will enhance our understanding of exactly what we need. And that's why we create that's why we create activity maps. And we have different tools of activity maps. The easiest one is flowchart, and we will talk about it. Now we have what's called the 4 fields map. So for each phase or each step or task, we have here in the middle tasks. For each task, we assign a team member. We say, okay, who is responsible for this? And this task is part of which phase, And we state the entry and exit criteria for this phase. So phase A will have this entry or the inputs and outputs, and it will have these tasks. And so will do it. And for each task, we will have standards or a list of standards to show how this task will happen. And once we finish stage A, we go to stage B, and then we go to stage C, and so on. So this is how it looks, you know. So these are the stages. We have this stage: plan, specification, review phase, then testing phase, then production phase, then closing phase. So we have these 4 phases. Then we have all the tasks. See all these boxes? These are tasks. And each task is associated with a team member. So we have here on top the teams or team members. And here we have the standards for each task. Of course, in manufacturing and in IT, this will be very, very evident. And we create a simple flow chart. Let me see if I included a sample. Okay, no, here. So let's quickly search for a sample flow chart. Okay. Okay, let's see this. I hope it's big enough. So when we, no, it's a small one. How about this one? Okay. Okay, yeah. This is an example of flow chart. So we have a start point and we have, this should be end point or a start for a new patient. So either this is end point or a start for a new patient. So the patient arrives, then there is a decision. See this symbol? It means that there is a decision. Is he?
No, we don't have the screen.
Excuse me?
We don't have the screen.
You don't have what?
Screen.
Oh, the screen? Okay.
No, it's visible. I can see it.
Can you see it or not?
I can see it.
Okay, all of you, can you see it? Yes, okay.
Yes.
Yes, we can.
Yes, it was visible.
Okay, perfect. Perfect, okay. I don't know what's happening at your end, but it's visible for everyone. Okay. So here, this is a healthcare example. So the patient arrives and there is a decision. Is he registered or not? If he registered, he can go to the next step. If not, registered patient. See how the steps are organized? Then, okay, yes, he is registered. The second question, do we have available nurse for that patient or not? If not, ask him to wait. If yes, you can go and record health condition. Do we have available doctor? No, then they will wait for available doctor. If we have available doctor, assign patient to a doctor. The doctor will see them. Does he need follow-up? Yes, arrange appointment. No, then go to the next step. He needs the medication. Yes, then give the patient prescription. No, then he can leave, and so on. So we use flow charts, and flow charts are very, very, very good in representing the steps. And when you create a flow chart, you can see, okay, maybe there is a step here, okay? So maybe after assigning a patient to a doctor, I need to add more steps to the doctor For example, to do diagnostic, then record the condition in files, for example, and so on. So we create these flow charts, so it will give us a visual representation of the inputs, the actions that we need to do, and the output of each process. And then we can create a whole system. Okay, here is, okay, yeah. Let's go to another group assignment. So you are assigned to launch a new app for hotel booking. So you are working at a hotel and the hotel wants to launch a new app to book for hotel booking. Create a process map. Create a flow chart. What is the benefit to be gained from mapping a process before proceeding with detailed planning? So how will you create this? Start a Word document. Can you see my screen? Can you see the Word document?
Yes.
Yes, we can.
Yes. Okay, perfect. Yes. So you can create a Word document and you list all the steps, okay? And so on. And then you create your map. So you can insert shapes, for example. You can use this steps, or you can create it step by step. Okay, how I do this? Yeah, insert textbook. So you insert textbooks, or shapes. Where are shapes? Just shapes. Yeah, here, shapes. You can add this. You can write text. Step 1, and of course you will give what's step 1, then insert shape, another step, step 2. Maybe you need to add a decision or a gate. So okay, yeah, here it is. So you add a decision. Maybe you give it another color and gate 1. And here is the question, and so on. Okay? So do you understand what you are required to do? You need to create a flow chart to create or launch a new app for hotel booking.
Should we do it right now?
Yes. So that's why choose little steps. You don't need to create a full map. I just want you to get the feeling, okay? So at least start with 3 to 5 steps. So something small.
Everyone?
No, not 1. 3 to 5 steps.
No. Is it just this task for everyone?
Yes, it's the same task for everyone, but I will divide you into groups.
Okay.
Yeah. So I will divide you into 2 groups. So you can start working on this quickly. Okay. 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 Okay, I see that not all of you online. Why it's giving me this?
And please, let me also join one group. This is Noor.
Okay, the problem it gives me here that I cannot assign you to breakout room. I don't know why.
Okay, I will.
Okay,
Please rejoin with another account. Okay,
I
just
don't know.
2 minutes.
Okay. 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 Two, three, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, I will open the rooms now and I don't know why it doesn't allow me to add Noor. Oh no, yeah, she's now in. Okay. Okay. I'll keep that slide on the share. Furubil, Furubil, am I? Okay. Okay. Noor, I assigned you to a room. Can you see it?
I just rejoined with another account.
Okay. Oh, it gave me the same issue. Okay, but your original account, I managed to add it to one room.
Shall I rejoin with that account?
Yes, because I managed to add you. I closed all the rooms. I took out everyone, and then I added you to one room, breakout room 1.
Okay. Okay, I will rejoin again. Thank you.
Okay.
Again, the same.
Yeah, this is very strange. I don't know why it's doing this. Okay, can you work on this assignment by your own, on your own?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, create a Word document and think of possible steps on creating and launching an app for hotel booking.
For hotel booking or hotel app? يعني apps for to book the hotel.
Yes.
Okay.
So a client can use their phone to book a hotel room. So we need an app for this.
Yeah, and the other request below, no need for it, correct?
No, we will talk about it. Yeah, the benefits of this, we will talk about it. Yeah. Okay.
We are ready.
Okay, let me see the other group if they are ready. Okay, couple of minutes and the other group will join us.
I'm also ready, Hanan.
Perfect. The other group just asked for 2 minutes and they will join. Welcome back.
Thank you.
Okay, so how was your discussion?
Perfect.
Did you manage to draw a flow chart?
We draw it with the pen. We will do it with the
Yes, with the pen.
Okay, perfect. Well, we have Noor. She worked by herself on the discussion. So, would you like to start, Noor?
Yes, sure. So,
Okay.
just like yeah. What I did, I like when we just want to create or have any apps for any like services, maybe we can first contact the companies who are providing those services. Then
By
we
the way,
can
you
also
can
check
share
the
your
cost.
screen. You can share your screen if you would like.
The bad news that I worked on the laptop and I'm like talking on I can open the camera and show you.
Okay.
Can you see it?
Oh, yes, yes, we can see it. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So maybe you can start with contacting the companies who are providing these services. Then we can check the cost, like if we can pay for that or not, because we have such companies which there's their cost is very high. Then we can just like select the proper company. After that, we can discuss with the company and design the proper apps for our purposes. Then we can advertise for those apps like for the clients, so they can use it. Yeah, this is like what's
So you did
I
not
have done.
You did not include any decision points, any phase gates.
No, but I have like very good idea because I already worked on that. So I can put like here, check the cost. After checking the cost, I can put decision gate. Okay, yes. Then we can go to select the proper company. So when we just select the proper company, we need to agree on the apps. So here we can also put the decision gate. Yeah. So if we just like have these apps, then so we can put it in many places. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Well, to make it more professional, use certain symbols we use for flow charts. So, for example, the oval shape is start and end. The rectangular is a step or activity. The diamond is the diamond shape is a decision or gate. And also we have other symbols, but these are the main symbols. So instead of having all round, so next time use the proper symbols. Yeah, it will look more professional.
So actually, for those one, I'm sometimes using the swim lane map. So this like we use it like it's
Yeah, or Visio. Visio also works, or mind maps. There are many many tools that we can use. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Group 1.
Were we the group 1?
Oh. Who is group 1?
Okay, go on.
Okay, who is group 1? Okay,
Were we group 1? Rodas?
Please,
yes.
Mansour.
I think we were group 1.
Okay, so you want me to present it or?
As you wish. I have the points as well.
It's okay by me. You can present.
Okay, thank you. So we came up with 5 points. So the first point is that we have to find a suitable company like Nuset. So we have to.
Can you share your screen, or can you share your screen?
We didn't draw it by. We didn't draw the steps on the Microsoft Office, but I have it here in my on my notebook.
Okay, so by hand, you mean?
Yes, by hand.
Okay, put it closer to the camera so we can see it.
I just lost it.
It's okay. It's okay. Yeah.
But I think that's easy. I can do it when I see the other charts.
Okay, Rodas, make it
Rodas
closer.
can do it.
Yeah. Make it closer. Okay, but we can see that you created a flow and you created some decision points. Yeah, we can't hear you, Rodas. Rodas, we cannot hear you.
Sorry, I was muted. Okay, so here's one. Here's the other one, the decision points. So the first point was, as Mansour mentioned, there's a company. If we found a company, an application company, then we start with a contract agreement.
So we can add Noor first because she was focusing on the selection phase. Now you are on the contracting phase. So cool. Yeah.
Yes.
Continue. Yeah.
After that, if both sides agree, then we go to market study or data collection. So we can collect the data from the owner of the hotel about how many beds are there or their prices and so on. So if both sides agree, if it's yes, then we go to design and implementation of the application. If not, then the process goes back to market study and data collection. If both sides don't, if the manager and if they don't approve, then the process goes back. After the design and implementation, again, there's this decision-making process. So after the software engineers design the application, then they show it to the project manager of the hotel or hotel owner, and if they approve, then it goes to testing the application. So they can test the application by giving it to some users so that they can test it, and then if that process goes smoothly, then the application can be hosted. So hosting the application is the end process, so it's circular, if it's visible here.
Okay.
Yes, those are the processes.
Okay, thank you. I will comment after group 3 present.
Okay.
Or the group 2, sorry, present.
Okay.
So we have created the such. Step 1, to create the site and the mobile app with 1, 2, 3 listed required functions and duration 2 months from, for example, from this date, 6th of April. Step 2, after the step 1, to link the payment systems, PayPal, etc., to this app. 2 weeks. We just imagine that we have our own DevOps department, and we just do the application. And decision points would be the list of functions required for this site and apps, and to choose the payment system. For example, PayPal, we decided. And step 3 is to conclude the agreements with the hotels and advertise agencies. And this step may be started simultaneously with the step 1. And it may take up to 2.5 months because too many hotels and too many time may take the advertising. And decision points for this step would be to prioritize the hotels list and agencies. List also.
Very good, very good. Now you have a better understanding on how to list certain activities and think, like in case of group 2, when they found that, okay, we can do 2 activities simultaneously. So instead of going all the steps sequential, we can do some steps concurrent with each other. Also, when you create such flowchart maps, you can check for the efficiency. For example, in case of group number 1, I think you had a decision point too late in the process. So if we move this decision point earlier, you can save more time and not waste time. So instead of starting by contracting and then working on the app, and then the management refuses, then you go back and you search for another company or something like this. So when you do this type of analysis, you can see where risks can come, where efficiencies can diminish. So, and also you might find there is a huge activity that you can divide it into smaller activities, so you can get more control over these activities. So you don't go on in a process based on faulty output, for example, or insufficient input. So you do this and you see the analysis to assess the flow of the steps and where potential risks might come. Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. Any question so far? Any question? Okay. Did you start working on your individual assignment or not yet?
I was sick.
Okay, so
I will start soon.
Okay, yes, please start soon. Please select your projects. So by reading your project, you might have questions, you might have you know, something that you want to contact me to get more understanding or something like this. So please, 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 this week, start working on your assignment.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Can you please go to the site and show us the list of the projects? Because I went to the site and I was confused about the list of the projects.
Oh.
And I saw very confusing projects.
Okay. Let me log into the system. So
let me share. I have opened it.
I have it too, but I want to be I want to be sure the list that I was seeing.
Okay, let me share my screen. Okay, well, yeah, there are some projects here. Some already unsolicited, some under procurement, you know, some here for approval. So all
you can choose from any of them.
Yeah, you can choose any of these. Yeah.
Okay.
You know, try to find something that's maybe closer to what you can understand, maybe closer to something. For example, here is the school infrastructure, mixed use industrial real estate development. Here, for example, alien certification of registration identity. So this is IT. Here, automatic fare collection. Again, this is IT. Roads, we have lots of roads. We have power plant here. We have sewage. What else? Here, for example, privatization. So spend some time on these projects and see. And whenever there is not enough information, you can assume this information. So just to spend some time and choose one project. And if you want to email me the project that you selected and how will you approach. And as I said, here you will see all what you require to do. So use this template. I recommended here using Prince 2. So this is it's a methodology in project management. So we have the PMI methodology and we have the UK methodology. So they use Prince, okay? So no need to do to use this. I just recommended this. If you want to use another one, it's here, yeah. Or you can use or create another methodology. So not necessarily to use this same one that I recommended. So here in Prince, if you open the downloads, you will find they have white papers, they have documents. Recently, I downloaded something from their website. Where is it? Okay. For example, this one. So they have these infographics that you can use, for example, here. So you can use, and these are, you know, just giving you a high level input. And or you can use what you have in the textbook, our textbook here. Where is it? Yep. So you can use our textbook and you can follow what you have here in the textbook. Or if you manage to download the BIM book and it's easier for you, you can use the BIM book. So you have all these options. If I'm new to the project management, like many of you, I will go with the textbook because I'm very new, so I might follow what I have here in the textbook. Okay? Any question? Okay. So, yeah.
And how is the model construction at the end of the class? How to use a model?
Here, I can't hear you well. You know what? You can use the chat here to type me messages because your connection is not strong. So you can use the chat to type messages.
No, I mean about the model that you said at the end of the class. About that. You first.
I can't hear you well. Your voice is not that clear. I can't hear you well, Amir, to answer your question. So anyway, please email me your questions. Please check using Moodle. Oh, okay. I will write a message to Sarah from the university. She's the student liaison. I don't remember exactly her title. So she can contact you and she can walk you through using Moodle. Okay. Any other question?
I have suggestion, please. Like if somebody will contact Sarah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So can we just like 2 or 3 call her at the same time, just to not make her like busy with all of us?
Oh, yeah. So she can walk you through Moodle at the same time.
Yeah, maybe 2 of us or 3 of us, like to like create small group instead of like maybe Mansour will communicate with her and say it, or other people and me at the same time, so to not make her so busy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Okay. I will write to her and I will ask her. Okay. Yeah. Perfect.
Thank you so much.
You are so welcome. You are so welcome. Well, thank you so much for your patience. We stayed a little bit longer today, but I think that it was an interesting discussion, an important one. So again, I encourage you to start working on your assignment, and soon I will email you once I post a new quiz online for you to answer. And as I said, I will create 6 quizzes, but we will include only the highest grades of these 6 quizzes. Okay? Thank you. See you next week. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you too. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye. Bye.
Bye. Thank you. Have a good day.
You too.